of people in Minnesota have been protesting nonstop since Saturday. We actually showed you this video on Monday, and what you see here is a 7-year-old Minnesotan man who says he was angry after Saturday's shooting. So for more on this, let's bring in CBS News national correspondent Lana Zak, who's been in Minnesota since the shooting last weekend. Lana, you were there when this happened on Saturday. The president now calling the people at these protests professional agitators. So what are you hearing and seeing from people about that on the ground?
Well, it's certainly worth acknowledging that there have been violent clashes with protesters and law enforcement agencies, including at a couple of hotels that have been housing federal agents. But the vast majority of the people who are coming out are putting community first, and violence is really on the fringes. And so Greg Ketter, who is a bookstore owner who went viral with his angry outburst, we met with him at his bookstore. Here's what he had to say.
I haven't done a protest in over 50 years. I attended a Vietnam War protest when I was about 16. So, no, I'm not a regular protester. My friend's 85-year-old mother was out the other day, too. She got tear gassed, you know. And these are all people who just would not protest. They're just coming out to be present.
Being present is what I've heard from so many people who have gathered. And it's interesting how multi-generational the crowds really are. I met up with Paige Ostroshko, and my apologies to Paige for definitely getting her last name all mangled in my mouth. But she was out there with her father protesting. Here's why she said they were there.
We're all here from all walks of life just supporting this person that was murdered in broad daylight.
That feeling that one of their own community members was murdered and that people were not being held accountable for his death has fueled so much passion and anger. But that anger is contained in that feeling of community defense as opposed to professional agitators. And there is really that reminder that 50,000 people in Minnesota just last Friday took to the streets here in an entirely peaceful protest as they were demanding that federal agents be removed from their city.
So, Lana, those folks that you've gotten a chance to speak to, were they frightened? I mean, given the two recent killings that we've seen of Renee Good and now Alex Preddy, there's a very real chance that you could be protesting and find yourself in dire straits. Are they worried about that?
There's a lot of people in Minnesota that are worried right now, Vlad. That's the truth. There's a lot of people who are worried, a lot of people who aren't even out protesting who are worried, who are coming home from school, who are shopping at the store, or in some cases are not doing those things because they're worried. But what they're worried about is that the indiscriminate nature that the federal actions appear to have on who is being targeted, whether they are a violent criminal, the worst of the worst, as the administration has said, or not. But people who are at these protests, overwhelmingly, they say they know that there are risks, but they're not going to allow those risks to silence their voices. That's why they're showing up. There's another large protest that is expected for this Friday. This one's supposed to be nationwide, and it's supposed to be peaceful. And people are asking folks to not go to work, to shut down their businesses, and to say that they stand together with the Minnesota residents that are saying federal agents need to really pull back from this aggressive action.
Some important voices to hear from. Lana, thank you.